Hi, Facebook friends. This is Brenda Geary. I'm so excited to be here today. And today, in honor of Autism Awareness Day, we're bringing you a special edition of Your Story Matters. And our special guest, my special guest today, is Joshua Miles. And he's going to be hopping on here in a few minutes, I hope. So we'll see. We'll wait for the notification. But you guys know that I'm absolutely passionate about health and wellness. And I like to bring folks on that can share their stories. I'm going to go ahead and invite Josh. He'll be joining us in just a second. So you guys know that I like to invite people. Oh, there you are. Okay, so there's an echo.
Uh-oh.
Let's see.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think that, do you have me on audio somewhere?
Nope.
Because I hear an echo.
Put this in. That's
Okay, let's see. Is that better? Oh, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
No echo?
And so I can hear you now. I hear you now.
Uh-oh.
And now there's an echo.
Hang on. Technology.
Hey, folks.
Okay, there we go.
I love technology.
There we go. We should be good now.
Okay, awesome. Because I tell you what, I am so, like, my brain is so busy that any extra noise would be like, ah! Let me give you 1 second. Let me share this.
Okay.
Josh, are you sharing this to your page?
Yeah, it's on my personal page, so we should be good. Yep.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so as I was saying, guys, welcome to a special edition of Your Story Matters with Brenda Geary. I'm based out of San Diego. So excited that you could be joining us today. And you guys know that I'm absolutely passionate about health and wellness because of my own journey. And my husband and I, we joined a health and wellness community like 8 years ago. Actually, it'll be 8 years in August. And since then, we've been able to impact the lives of many, many, many people. And so Josh and I met back in January 2016.
Yeah.
Wow, what a journey. And his family has become such an integral part of our lives. Let me give you guys, and what we're going to talk about today is how Josh and his beautiful wife, Camille, have been able to leverage the science of nutrigenomics using plant-based nutrition. Nutrigenomics is nutra, meaning nutrigenomics, nutra meaning nutrition, plant-based nutrition, and genomics is genes. So we're using plant-based nutrition to impact your genes and how that has been able to help their son, CJ. So let me read you or introduce you to who we have sharing with us today. So Josh is an amazing businessman. He's wicked smart. That's right, you can smile. Josh is wicked smart. He is a serial entrepreneur. He has a beautiful family. He's a father of 4 beautiful kids, an amazing family man, and he's got this beautiful, beautiful wife, Dr. Camille Miles, who is brilliant in and of her own right, right?
Very
right?
brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Very much so.
She's amazing. So one of these days, I'm going to bring Camille on so that she can share your guys' journey from her perspective. That would be awesome.
Absolutely.
So, and I'm sporting blue today.
Blue
To support.
Absolutely.
Y'all.
Autism Awareness Day. Thank you so much too, because we feel it and we love it. So thank you.
Absolutely. So what I want to do, let's just jump into it. Oh, real quick. If you guys are watching live, I always love to see the reach of our videos. You know, we did an interview with Maria Williams just last week, and we've had over 2,000, you know, it's even higher than that now, over 2,000 views on that. And I always like to see where people are jumping in from. So if you're watching live, give us some love. You know, let us know where you're coming in from. If you're watching the replay, let us know where you're, you know, that you're watching the replay, and just share where you're coming from so we can just kind of get a sense for what the reach of this live is. Oh, and Josh, you just disappeared on us. Oh, there you go. You're back.
There we go.
So,
I was like, what happened?
So let us know where you're coming in from, and share this. If you we're going to be talking about autism, and we're going to talk about the ability to leverage plant-based nutrition to really help those individuals that need the help, right? And
Yep.
so if you are thinking of somebody that would benefit from hearing this information today, tag them, share the video. If you have some private groups that you run, share this into your private group so that they can get the benefit of the information. So before we jump in, let me just say this. We work with a lot of doctors because we're totally into health and wellness, and we do that from a science-based perspective, right? And so for kids on the spectrum, anyone that's on the spectrum, what we know is that they have high levels of oxidative stress.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about what are the things that need to be addressed, right? So we need to address high levels of oxidative stress, which is that, damage to our cells. And we're addressing high inflammation. They've got low levels of glutathione. They've got mitochondrial dysfunction. They have gut issues. And so many times, the medical community is addressing those issues from a pharmaceutical perspective, but we want to address those issues from a natural perspective, and we do it through nutrigenomics. So Josh, I'm going to turn it over to you. And again, I want to say thank you for joining me today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Share, just jump in and share, how were you introduced to this? How were you, what's your family experience?
Yeah, so we, man, I got to take myself back to that place because it feels like it was so long ago, and we've made so many strides and seen so much development in CJ. So Caleb, or CJ, same person.
Yep.
He was diagnosed with autism when he was 3. Actually, the first person that brought it to my wife and I's attention was my mother-in-law. She said, I think CJ might have autism. Started sending us a bunch of resources, and to be honest, I didn't even want to look at them when we first, she was sending us stuff in the mail, sending us some articles via email, and I wouldn't touch anything because I said, like, he's barely even 3. How do we know? How would we know if he has autism? He could be delayed, and he was really bright, actually. He knew his alphabet before his first birthday. He could point out all the letters in the alphabet. Super smart kid. But some of the triggers, he would stand in one place and flap his arms. He'd line up stuff in a straight line. And his social skills just weren't, like, his peers were just like flying by him on regards to social skills. And so those were some of the triggers, some of the things that she noticed. My wife was like, I think we need to look into this. I'm like, listen, he's still young. We're good. And that was really my perspective. And this was before he even turned 3. We finally got a diagnosis when he was 3. We were doing some things preliminarily before we got a diagnosis. He was doing some speech therapy and some different things. We weren't seeing much progress at all, and it became painfully obvious where I had to even just admit, like, dang, I think my son might have autism. I wasn't really familiar with autism. If I'm honest, I didn't know what it was by name and how, like, how do you know somebody has autism when you see him? I couldn't tell you.
Right.
And so literally, we got a diagnosis, and then it kind of started the journey of, okay, we got to get therapies, and we just, the traditional method, right? You get therapies, you get all these outside sources and resources to come in and help. And literally, we did that for a year and a half. We did that for a year and a half, and it was just like, we were just kind of trudging along, take 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 1 step back. We were getting over 40 hours a week of therapy, and that's on top of the time that he was spending in school. So for him, even, it was a full-time job, to have people. We had everybody in our house all the time from 8 to 6, typically every single day. And that was just the life that we lived. That was the life that we lived. It was a lonely journey, if I'm honest. We didn't know anybody. We were, out of our close friends at the time, we were the first ones to really have kids. So we didn't have a group of people who had gone before us, who had done this stuff before. It was all brand new for us. And so it was a lonely road. And as a dad, I was the dad that's like, hey, my son's going to be the first pick in the NBA draft one day. We got to get ready. I know he's only 2, but we got to get ready. Right. And that was just, it was one of those things where it's like, and it was honestly helpful for me to come to grips with the fact that, something, I can't impose my dreams and desires on my son. God has made
Yes.
him who he is, and
Yes.
he may never want to pick up a basketball, and that's okay. Those were some of the things that my ego was hurt.
Yep.
I had to wrestle through my insecurities of,
Mm-hmm.
man, my son has autism, and we go out in public. I mean, sometimes it was difficult because he's so sensory oriented. Everything's loud. Everything smells a lot stronger to him than what it might to me. And learning to wrestle through that. What does it look like to go sit in a restaurant and have dinner as a family? Um,
Yeah.
what does it look like just to go run to the post office? I mean, just all these different things that you're not prepared for it.
Yeah.
You don't come in and say, "Hey, give me a kid with autism."
Mm-hmm.
But it's been honestly the most helpful and beneficial thing for our family. We've learned so much from him. And beyond, I don't mean the type of like, oh, my son's teaching me patience because he doesn't know how to stand still, and I don't mean that kind of stuff. I mean the type of thing where I'm learning from him what it looks like to, I mean, be able to love one thing and just do it for a long time. Those
Yes.
types of things. What does it look like to persevere when you got people in your space all day long trying to teach you and
Mm-hmm.
help you and do all these? I mean, like he's been in school since he was 3.
Yep.
I mean, he's got additional years of school already tacked on to the front end. And so that's just what life looked like. Like I said, he was getting a ton of therapy. We were introduced to nutrigenomics. My wife is a pharmacist, and so
Mm-hmm.
she's the science person in our household. I'm more of the business mind. She's the science person, hands down.
Yep.
We ride both our lanes very well,
Love it.
and we don't do well switching. But we were introduced to nutrigenomics, and a friend of ours gave us a call one day and said, "Hey, well, let me back up. I posted something on Facebook actually, and for the first
Mm-hmm.
time, I actually said, man, my son has autism. This has been a challenge." And there was a picture of us working together on something, and I was like, man, that picture that Camille took was it was just it was it was something that really, as I saw it, it was like, man, this is difficult for me,
Yep.
for us to engage. He likes spending time by himself. I like spending time with people a ton, but he doesn't like me in this
Mm-hmm.
space a lot. And for us to be like both engaged in something it was really, that's like still my favorite picture to date.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember seeing that picture, Josh, and I
mhm.
tell you, it is a powerful, powerful image.
Yep,
Yes.
yep, yep. So, yeah, I posted it and just talked about the fact that he had autism. And most people didn't know, unless you were
Mm-hmm.
like around us, and had been kind of on a journey with us. You didn't know because we didn't talk publicly about it a ton.
Yep.
Um, and a friend of ours hit us up, and she said, "Hey, I saw you said CJ has autism. I have a friend in Phoenix." My connection says trying to reconnect. Okay, cool, we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. My phone said trying to reconnect. I'm like, what's going on? But so she reached out to us and she said, hey, will you just, reach out to my friend in Phoenix. Just talk to her. Her son has autism. They've seen phenomenal results doing what they're doing. It might be helpful. I said, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sat down and got a ton of information. Uh, it was it was sciency.
Yep. Yep. You were
uh,
like, huh?
so I was like, I don't know, like, what's a cell again? It's been a while since I took a biology class. My
Yep.
wife though, being the genius that she is, she Camille ate it up and she was like, we got to try this because it's interesting being in the pharmaceutical industry. She was not for medicating them. She was like, we can't go that route. I see it all the time. You can give kids stuff that they'll never get off of. And so she didn't want to go that route. This was an all natural method, and so she was excited about it. And it's funny. I'm always skeptical. I'm like, everybody claims to have this great product that can help somebody with something. And I was just skeptical. I said, listen, we'll see. We'll see.
Right. Right.
It wasn't going to break the bank for us to purchase it. So we tried it. Um, and literally, at this time he was 4. He couldn't hold a pencil and write his name in a straight line. He'd like, if he held the pencil, he'd hold it, fist grip, and he'd
Mm-hmm.
write his name and he just stack all the letters on top of each other, and they would be, you know, somewhat readable. Um,
Right.
he couldn't. He had a 4 to 6 word vocabulary up in there. You know, he had like he had about 6 words that he could say like without prompting. Everything else was he would parrot all day long. I mean, if I said somebody came over, if you came over to my house and I said, "Hey CJ, tell Miss Brenda hi," he'd say, "Hey CJ, tell Miss Brenda hi." You know, he
Yeah.
just couldn't pick up the nuances. So we start trying them on these products. Like I said, I'm skeptical. Within 24 hours, he sleeps through the night for the first time in about 6 months. It had been a while. Yeah, it had been a while since he had, like, and when I say slept through the night, I don't mean like, oh, he woke up for 15 minutes and went back to sleep. I mean, no, he woke up and was up for 2 hours. And so when you got a 4-year-old that's up for 2 hours, somebody's got to stay up with him.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, and so that's what life looked like. And literally within 24 hours, he slept through the night for the first time. And my wife's like, man, that's crazy. He slept through the night for the first time. And I'm like, we'll see.
Wow.
We'll
You're
see.
still skeptical.
Yeah, super skeptical.
Yep.
Super
Yep.
skeptical. And literally, he, like I said, he couldn't talk. So I'm in my office right now. I'm sitting here. I was working from home for the company that I worked for at the time. Working from home, and my parents were coming in town that day, and I was gonna go pick them up from my brother's house. We were gonna go get some stuff to grill, the whole nine. So I was gonna go to the store. I'm upstairs. My wife's downstairs. We're talking across the house on who's gonna go to the store. Am I taking kids with me? What's going on? We're trying to figure out the details. I come back to my office. I was elected to go to the store.
Elected or voluntold?
Both.
I
So
love it.
I decided to go to the store, and literally CJ walks in and he says, "Hey daddy, I want to go to the store with you." And so I'm sitting there working and I look and I'm like, "Wait, what?" And he said, "I want to go to the store." And I'm like, "Man, that's really good parenting." Like this
Wow.
was literally about 3 weeks after he starts this stuff. I'm like, that's really good parenting. So I step out the room. I'm like, excuse me, son, before I answer that question. I'm like, Camille, did you tell CJ to come and let me know he wanted to go to the store? And she's like, what are you talking about? CJ's in his room playing on his iPad. And I was like, no, he's not. He just walked in and asked me to go to the store. And she's just like, what do you mean he walked in and asked you to go to the store? I'm like, you might want to come up here. And like literally, that was the first time he used a sentence on his own. And he started like, I mean, literally, he said he wanted to go to the store. I'm like, absolutely, we're going to the store. We might go to 2 stores.
Yep. There you go.
So, but I mean, ever since then, it's been thing after thing after thing. Like I said, he was getting all this therapy. Every single one of his therapists came to us and they were like, what in the world is going on? And we were intentional about not to say anything because we were like, we know we
Yeah.
can be biased. Like we know as his
Right.
parents, like anything. I mean, you know, man, he's growing afro all of a sudden. Like, you know, we knew we could be biased. And literally, so he had one therapist that did about 20 hours of his therapy. She was here multiple hours a week. Literally, she comes in crying. She comes into the kitchen crying one day. She's like, he's cracking jokes. I can't
Oh
believe
my
it. He's
gosh.
cracking jokes.
Wow.
And I mean, and we're like, he's cracking jokes. Like, well, what was the joke? Was it funny? You know, but I mean, literally, that was the type of impact that the type of change. It was that drastic that the people that were around him the most that didn't even know what we were
Yes.
doing, they saw it and they were like, wow, this is crazy. And so, I mean, he's 7 now. So we're going on a little over 3 years that we've
Yep.
been
Yep.
running this path. And I mean, it's been amazing. I mean, the kid that couldn't hold a pencil. He's an artist.
Yes.
The Steve Harvey show called us once because they saw his artwork. So he draws this. He drew the United States. Actually, I've got one. So I have some of his artwork. He drew this by hand, freehand.